My name is John McLoughlin. I'm the branch secretary of Unison Towerhamlets. We've called this meeting tonight for a number of reasons. It's a meeting about privatisation, to stop the privatisation of our waste education. But it's also, in many ways, principally a meeting about stopping what we feel is victimisation of someone who I'm sure will be well known to a lot of you, Phill Maxwell. And I'll start by saying, some of you may know Phill Maxwell as a politician. He was a very highly respected Labour councillor. Others of you may know him as a community activist. Some will know him as a friend at work. Some will know him as an educator of extraordinary talent who has delivered an award-winning service for many years within Tower Hamlets. Others of us will know him as a trade unionist, someone with a great passion for the work he does, a believer in trade unions, a believer in fighting for equality, someone of great dignity and pride in what he does, pride of who he is, proud of his sexuality, and someone who has fought for many issues and many people, who's always stood up for himself and always stood up for other people. So I'm going to ask you to start the meeting by please standing up for Phill Maxwell.
Yeah. Your welcome for Phill is a testament to the type of respect that he has across our community. And as a branch secretary, I have to say I was very surprised to get a call very late one afternoon in April to summon me to a meeting at 8:30 the next morning. Not the kind of thing that normally happens, and I wondered what it could be about. And there was only two people to be at that meeting, myself and Phill. And that's it, we got told that Phill Maxwell is to be cheaply transferred to a new employer, Veolia. And I was so surprised because that's not normally what happens in cheaply transfers. They don't normally call me at 8:30 in the morning. They don't normally have only one person transferred. And right from the off, we thought something's just not right about this. And it is peculiar because it turned out that unbeknown to anyone, in a report that went to Cabinet in March, a report which was mainly about long-term contracts for waste recycling from 2011 onwards, that in one paragraph, sneaked in the middle, was a proposal to transfer waste education. Now, the first amazement is, that sometimes they say privatisation has to happen when a service doesn't work very well, or it's too expensive, or there's some reason like that. Except that, in waste education, we happen to have possibly the best record of waste education anywhere in Britain. I don't want to flatter Phill too much, but I don't think I'd be far wrong in saying that there is no one anywhere in Britain engaged in waste education who has received more awards and plaudits than Phill has. So what could be the reason? Perhaps it's cost. It might surprise you to know Phill is the only full-time permanent employee engaged in waste education. Transferring him, you think, one person going to Veolia, do you know how much Veolia is going to be paid as a variation of the contract? Now, Phill, I hate to reveal details about your pay, I won't give too much away, but the amount they're going to pay Veolia is £230,000 per year. Now, either Phill owes me a lot of money in sums, or he's going to be less than that. And if it's the first is the case, well, me and you can have words. It's not going to save any money. Amazingly, we found out the other day that no managers are transferring his contract, but Veolia are going to employ a new manager above Phill. Meanwhile, the consultants who have been interim managers of Phill in the council, they are continuing, still in the role, still being paid, but Veolia will get paid £230,000 minimum per year on top. And this is a company, there's a lot of things you could say about Veolia, but they have different things they want to say about them. They have notoriety for a number of reasons, not least their contacts with Palestine and the West Bank. You might feel, is that really appropriate for an area like Tower Hamlets? But I'll give you a little bit about their record on education. In 2006, it is true that as part of their contract, this council paid them to start running what they called an education service. The strange thing was, for 18 months, they didn't bother to employ anyone. As far as I know, the council still paid them for it, but they didn't bother to employ anyone. As far as I know, they have no track record whatsoever of providing the type of education in schools that Phill does. Still, however, that's gone ahead. In April, when the first protest came, they said, no, we're not just going to hand it over, we'll make sure it's subject to proper scrutiny. We'll check they can do it. We'll check its value for money. But I have to say to you, the reason we're having this meeting, suddenly in the middle of August, I don't know to end of it, that may be coincidence, but it just happened. I was on holiday, a lot of you are probably on holiday, probably the time you think there might be the least resistance. Suddenly Phil gets a notice, you are going to be transferred on the 1st of October. So we wrote many things, but one of the things I wrote to find out, are you sure this has been subject to proper scrutiny? One of the little side issues of this, European legislation states if you issue contracts over €137,000, they should be put out to proper procurement to make sure you're getting value for money. This didn't go to procurement. £230,000 a year, no procurement, no testing, nothing. This was what we were told about how they tested it. I mean, I do still find this remarkable. You may find it as well. They said that, here is it. Let me just find it for you. The council notice of change and specification were sent to Veolia on the 3rd of August. We gave them 14 days to reply. Veolia submitted their proposal on the 17th of August. On the 18th and 19th of August, Veolia's proposal was evaluated. The details of the evaluation were submitted to the Corporate Director of Resources on the afternoon of 19th, who reviewed Veolia's proposal and made his determination on the 20th of August. Now, I don't know about you, but I haven't come across contracts where you ask on the Monday, tell us what you want, and on the Friday, here you are, here's your money. I find that a quite incredible procurement exercise, and I think a lot of people in Towerhamlets might be as well. Is this the way you look after our money? Is this the checks you make on Veolia? So we are convinced that this transfer is not about making a better service, it's not about value for money, it's about getting rid of Phill Maxwell. And we believe the reason for getting rid of Phill Maxwell, as I said, he's been a pillar of the community, he's been someone who stands up for his community, he's been a trade unionist who sometimes is regarded as a bit of a pain in some way or the other. And Phil also, I have to add, believes that an element of this is that as a gay employee, he has always been proud and stood up for himself and stood up for other members of staff, and therefore he has got on the wrong side of certain senior people in the council who are only too happy to see him transferred. You're going to hear from righter speakers across the political spectrum. This is an issue which has united many people. I will comment from the start. We have had an awful lot of support from within the Labour Party. The former leader sent a personal note, Denise Jones, and I'll read a bit of what she said. I'm writing a personal note to acknowledge the excellent work you have carried out with schools and community projects since you started work in the department, and to congratulate you on the awards you have brought to the ballot as a result of your approach. As you know, when I was the leader of the council, I took great interest in the innovative waste education and environmental programme, the device for young people. It would be a great loss to the borough if your work does not continue, and I look forward to a positive income in the next few months. Councillor Alex Heslop had wanted to come and speak here tonight. We understood that he came under some pressure from the whip, which has prevented him from being on this platform. As I say, there is a very wide range of people. I'll introduce the speakers to you. But we're very glad to see it. The transfer is due to happen next week. We are determined it won't happen. We don't believe it should happen. We believe it may well be unlawful. And we believe it's time for it to stop. So I'll introduce the first speaker I've got.